You want better hips? Don't worry, I got you, G.
They think you're a monster.
I'm gonna make him an offer.
Prove them right. Wake up to reality.
So without wasting no time, let's just get straight into the video. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over 3 hip stretching exercises that are going to help you get better, looser, stronger hips and just overall hips in general, to where that it helps with your athletic performance and also just like individual performance as far as whether if you have hip problems or your hips don't feel that good, they feel very tight, they feel weak. These 3 exercises are going to catapult your hips to another level. I would know because these have also helped my hips a lot. Just speaking from personal experience, they've helped me as far as when it comes with athletic performance, whether if I'm kickboxing or I'm doing Muay Thai, or even let's say if I'm doing some sprints or whatever the case may be, or just with like overall daily life. My hips have never felt better, just in general. So just by getting straight into it, the first one that I'm going to be talking about is called the Cossack Squats. These squats specifically can help you target, your hips individually. You can definitely do it by rocking side to side. And the thing about this is that you want to try to with this exercise, you want to try to stay as low as possible while also not putting your butt up in the air. You want to keep your hips low as possible to the ground while also getting a deep stretch in. When you're on one side, you pretty much want to put more pressure on it to where that it helps deepen the stretch. Cossack squats are definitely, these squats are really helpful with flexibility and just overall strength. And these are unilateral. You can do one leg at a time. It's not a bilateral movement at all, which is the good thing about it. And so a way to progressively overload with the Cossack squat is that you can use a kettlebell. You can try to deepen the stretch by holding it for a certain time as well too. If kettlebells aren't doing enough, if you want to add more weight, you can also do barbells as well. If you want to add more weight to it, that's really going to help overload your hips and just do a lot wonders to it. You can try spreading your legs as far as you possibly can, or even further, to where that you can have a deeper stretch in it, which is going to make it more flexible and extend the mobility of the hips. Cossack squats overall are a great exercise for better hips. It's quite underrated. In fact, if anything, I would definitely add this to my leg. It actually is in my leg day. I'm not even gonna lie with you. This is in my leg day. I'm gonna say it to you right now. Cossack squats are underrated. These are like a basic exercise, a basic unilateral movement, but at the same time, it does wonders, especially when you progressively overload with it. I would personally recommend to do it with kettlebells first, like say 5-10 pound kettlebells. Then once you get up to say 30 pounds with kettlebells, you can definitely start using a barbell as well, just to help overload it. It really does wonders, and it's just an overall amazing exercise. Now, the next one is going to be horse to straddle stance. This right here is kind of like a isometric type of movement, because you're in a horse stance and you're holding that for a certain amount of time, and then you're going to transition to a straddle stance. The thing with this one in specific is that you want to keep your back straight as possible, to where that you can definitely feel it in the hips. Going from a horse to straddle stance relies on having a straight back, good posture, and also being able to have good hips as well, and also with your stance. The wider the stance, the better the stretch in the movement. And yet again, just like the Cossack squat, with this, you can progressively overload it by using a kettlebell, and then also be able to use a barbell as well too. This is more of like a isometric, meaning that you're going to hold your body in a certain position for an amount of time, and to be able to use your core and also other muscles as well in your body to help stabilize yourself. And you kind of do need a little bit of balance on this one. Now the next one and the last one is called the elevated hip rockers. Pretty much you're gonna put your foot on an elevated surface and basically rock your hips back and forth. The higher the surface that you put your foot on, the more and the deeper the stretch. The higher the surface that you put your foot on, the deeper the stretch. So this is definitely a good exercise to do when you are, say, warming up for something, if anything, or if you're doing yoga or whatever the case may be, maybe Pilates, I'm not too sure. But this is definitely a good stretching exercise. And how a way to progressively overload this is kind of like how I said in the beginning. You don't necessarily need to add weight to it. All you need to do is just change the leverage and angles in your body. So like I said before, the higher the elevated surface that you put your foot on, the deeper the stretch is going to be. So once you put your foot on, like say like a chair or something like that, something that's not too high, then you're still gonna get a good stretch from it. And you just simply rock back and forth. You try to put a little bit pressure on the hips to where that you can sink a little bit more and get a deeper stretch. And say you go from like a chair or like a bench to something like a tall chair or like a stool or something, or even like a table, something that's a little bit higher than a chair, something like that, to where that it's going to have more. There's going to be a different leverage in your body and changes to where that the stretch is going to be a lot harder. It's going to stretch a lot more, and it's going to be able to sink more. So with that one, that is definitely a good stretching exercise. With this one, just be careful with how deep you stretch into it, because you don't want to pull, you don't want to pull anything. Try not to go in too deep, when you are doing this exercise. The whole point is to rock back and forth and also be able to sink your hips in as well. So, but be careful with the surface that you pick. The higher the surface, the more you're going to get a deeper stretch. But you also be careful, because if it's too high, you might end up pulling something and now you got an injury. So, we don't want that. So, yeah. And that's pretty much been the video. Thank you all for watching this video. If this helps, you know what I'm saying, definitely like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're on the road to 500 subscribers by the end of this year. All right, let's get it. So, I will see y'all in the next video. Peace.